How much pain do you feel every day on a scale of 1 to 10?
9, 10. Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
Ronnie Coleman is going through it. The once unstoppable legend is now battling serious health issues. And word is, the money's gone too. A video of him out in the streets just hit the internet. But as bad as that sounds, homelessness might not even be his biggest problem. Right now, Ronnie's fighting just to make it to the fall. Let me break it down for you. Video of Ronnie Coleman goes viral. Ronnie Coleman is having it rough. Word is the bodybuilding legend is broke, and it's all tied to everything he's been through lately. But to understand how we got here, we need to rewind to his prime, when Ronnie was raking in serious cash. His Mr. Olympia wins alone brought in between $100,000 and $150,000 each, adding up to nearly $1 million. But according to Ronnie himself, the real money didn't come from those trophies. It came from the endorsements, and those endorsements were substantial. Coleman secured lucrative deals with brands like Gold's Gym, earning $1.5 million annually in royalties, Pepsi, ABB, MetRx, and BSN. We're talking about millions of dollars in endorsement deals during his prime years. His workout DVDs, such as The Unbelievable and The Cost of Redemption, were bestsellers. He also starred in The Ronnie Coleman Show, reportedly earning $10 million. So where did all that money go? Well, that's where this story takes a dark turn, and it starts with something that happened back in 2007. In 2007, Coleman married Rueda Christine Achkar, a French-Lebanese personal trainer. They divorced in 2010 after 3 years. Now divorces happen, right? People get divorced all the time. But this wasn't just any divorce. This was a financial catastrophe that would haunt Coleman for years to come. Coleman reportedly paid $2 million in cash and agreed to $100,000 per month in alimony and child support. Additionally, he lost ownership of a luxury villa in Florida as part of the settlement. Let me repeat that. $100,000 per month in alimony and child support. That's $1.2 million per year, every year, for who knows how long. Think about what that means. Even if Coleman was making $3 million per year during his absolute peak, losing $1.2 million of that annually to alimony and child support would cripple anyone's finances. And that's before we even talk about his own living expenses, business investments, or the thing that would ultimately become his biggest financial burden, his medical bills. Now here's where the story gets even more heartbreaking. Before Coleman became the king, before he dominated bodybuilding, he was just a guy struggling to make ends meet. After graduating cum laude with a BSc in accounting from Grambling State University in 1989, Coleman struggled to find work in his field. He took a low-paying job at Domino's Pizza, where he ate free pizza daily due to poverty. Can you imagine that? The man who would go on to become the greatest bodybuilder of all time was once so poor that he had to eat free pizza from Domino's just to survive. During his early bodybuilding days, Coleman worked 3 jobs simultaneously: bodybuilding, working at Denny's, and serving as a police officer. This background is crucial to understanding Coleman's financial mindset. This is a man who came from nothing, who worked 3 jobs just to pay the bills, who ate free pizza because he couldn't afford real food. So when the money started rolling in during his Mr. Olympia years, is it any surprise that he might not have made the most conservative financial decisions? But the real financial devastation came from something that nobody could have predicted: the astronomical cost of trying to fix his broken body. Coleman has reported spending millions on medical care, with specific claims including $2 million on his last 3 surgeries and $4.2 million on his last 5 surgeries. Let me put that in perspective for you. $4.2 million on just 5 surgeries. That's more money than most people will make in their entire lifetime, spent just trying to repair the damage from years of pushing his body beyond human limits. And it's not like these surgeries have been successful. The surgeries, some of which were reportedly botched, have left Coleman with limited mobility, requiring crutches or a wheelchair. This has reduced his ability to earn through personal appearances, training, or other physical activities, limiting his income during recovery periods. Think about what that means from a financial perspective. Not only is Coleman spending millions of dollars on surgeries that aren't working, but those same surgeries are preventing him from earning money through the activities that built his brand in the first place. He can't do personal training sessions when he can barely walk. He can't do motivational speaking tours when he's recovering from surgery after surgery. But here's what I find most revealing about Coleman's current financial situation: the fact that he's had to rely on income streams that he never would have needed during his prime. Coleman continues to earn through his supplement line, YouTube channel, appearance fees at bodybuilding expos, and his police pension. His social media presence, with over 5 million Instagram followers, also generates revenue through sponsored content and collaborations. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of these income streams, but when you're relying on Instagram sponsorships and appearance fees to pay your medical bills, it tells you everything you need to know about how far your financial situation has fallen. And that brings us to the most recent and most telling example of Coleman's financial struggles: the Ronnie Strong campaign. Ronnie Coleman was hospitalized on June 29, 2025, after a routine checkup revealed a bloodstream infection infection that progressed to sepsis. Now, for those of you who don't know what sepsis is, and honestly, most people don't until it's too late, sepsis is a life-threatening condition where the body's immune system overreacts to an infection, leading to widespread inflammation, tissue damage, organ failure, and potentially death. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. On July 15th, 2025, Ronnie posted a video that would leave the entire fitness community in tears. In this emotional update from what appeared to be his hospital room, the man who once dominated bodybuilding stages around the world opened up about his near-death experience in a way that nobody expected.
The boy was hit with sepsis, and it nearly killed me. Had it not been for my 13-year-old daughter, it probably would have.
Think about that for a moment. This is Ronnie Coleman, a man who squatted 800 pounds, a man who redefined what the human body could achieve, a man who always said, "Yeah, buddy," and "lightweight, baby," no matter how heavy the weight was. And here he is, telling us that his 13-year-old daughter saved his life. Coleman credited his daughter with playing a crucial role in saving his life, though specific details about her involvement were not disclosed. But what we do know is that without her quick thinking and action, we might have lost the king forever. The timeline of events is absolutely terrifying when you break it down. By mid-June, Coleman's condition worsened, requiring a ventilator and extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, ECMO, to support his failing lungs. Sepsis, compounded by severe lung damage from pneumonia, led to a critical state where his heart stopped 4 times, each episode lasting approximately 20 seconds. But here's where the story takes an even more personal turn. In that same emotional video, Coleman revealed something that shows just how much this health crisis has affected him.
I'm still here because the grace of God still wants me to be here. And the support I get from all of y'all, that all helps out a whole lot.
Now, what makes this sepsis battle particularly tragic is that Coleman's infection was discovered during a routine checkup when medical professionals detected signs of a severe blood infection. The infection had spread into his bloodstream, necessitating urgent surgery and intensive care. Think about this. Here's a man who has been through over 13 surgeries already because of his intense bodybuilding career. Coleman has undergone over 13 surgeries, including spinal fusions, hip replacements, and intervertebral disc repairs, primarily due to degenerative disc disease and injuries from heavy lifting. And now, on top of all of that, he's fighting for his life against an infection that most people have never even heard of. But here's what really gets me about this whole situation. Coleman admitted, "Most people don't even know what sepsis is. I didn't either, until it almost took me away from my family." This is a man who has dedicated his entire life to understanding the human body, to pushing it to its absolute limits. And even he didn't know about this silent killer. The medical details are absolutely staggering. Doctors successfully managed the source of the infection and are now treating it directly. Additionally, Coleman underwent a minimally invasive heart procedure to improve his quality of life, which was described as successful. But the fact that he needed a heart procedure on top of everything else just shows you how close we came to losing this legend. What makes this story even more powerful is how Coleman has chosen to respond to this near-death experience. Instead of retreating from the public eye, instead of feeling sorry for himself, he's turned this tragedy into a mission.
Now, I kind of feel a little responsibility to use my platform to raise some awareness to this thing we call sepsis.
And that's exactly what he's done. On July 11th, 2025, Coleman's family announced the Ronnie Strong movement, a global fitness community initiative aimed at supporting Coleman's recovery and raising awareness about sepsis. This isn't just about getting better. This is about using his platform, his influence, his near-death experience to potentially save other people's lives. But here's where things get really interesting, and this is where we start to see the financial reality that Coleman is facing. This sepsis battle didn't just threaten his life, it's threatening his financial stability in ways that most people would never expect from someone who was once at the absolute pinnacle of bodybuilding success. The campaign features the sale of Ronnie Strong t-shirts through an official website. These shirts are priced at $35, with 50% of the net proceeds donated to the Sepsis Alliance. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's nice, he's doing charity work. But when you really think about it, the fact that Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia, one of the most successful bodybuilders in history, is selling $35 t-shirts to help cover his medical expenses should tell you everything you need to know about the financial reality reality he's facing. The remaining proceeds help cover Coleman's ongoing medical expenses, which are substantial due to his hospitalization, surgery, and recovery needs. And when you consider that Coleman's recent health scare involved a severe bloodstream infection identified during a routine checkup in June 2025, which escalated to sepsis, requiring urgent surgery and intensive care, you start to understand just how expensive this medical emergency must be. You might be thinking, how could this happen to someone like Ronnie Coleman? He's one of the strongest, most physically gifted athletes who ever lived. But here's the sobering reality. Sepsis doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your titles, your achievements, or your physical prowess. And Ronnie Coleman isn't the only elite athlete who has faced this terrifying battle. When champions fall, let me tell you about Ben Askren, the former UFC fighter, two-time NCAA Division I wrestling champion, and 2008 U.S. Olympian. In 2025, the 40-year-old faced his own life-threatening health crisis due to a severe staph infection that progressed to pneumonia and sepsis, ultimately requiring a double lung transplant. Think about that for a moment, a double lung transplant. We're not talking about a minor procedure here. We're talking about replacing the very organs that keep you alive, the organs that allow you to breathe, to speak, to exist.
What's up, guys? Have not given you an update in a while. Figured you deserve one. Whenever this is all the way over, I actually just read through my wife's journal because I don't remember anything from May 28th to July 2. No recollection. Zero idea. No idea what happened.
Askren's ordeal began in late May 2025 with what seemed like a simple staph infection, but it rapidly escalated into severe pneumonia and sepsis.
We'll kind of go through it all, and I just read through my wife's journal. It's like a movie. It's ridiculous. So I only died 4 times, right, where the ticker stopped for about 20 seconds.
Did you catch that? I only died 4 times. Let that sink in for a moment. Ben Askren, a professional fighter who made a living out of being tougher than his opponents, died 4 times during his battle with sepsis. His heart stopped, his body shut down, and for 20 seconds at a time, he was clinically dead.
But I got the double lung transplant. I made it out to the other side of it, gaining quite a bit of strength. We're going to use everything again. I was actually on a scale yesterday. I'm 47 pounds. I've been on 47 pounds since 15 years old.
The physical toll was staggering. Askren, previously a 197-pound welterweight, lost 50 pounds in 45 days, dropping to 147 pounds, a weight he hadn't seen since he was 15 years old. This dramatic weight loss reflected the severity of his condition, compounded by prolonged sedation and critical care.
So, man, that was a battle. Luckily, I don't remember most of it. And, the thing that was most impactful to me was all the love I felt from everybody. And it was almost like I got to have my own funeral.
There's something both heartbreaking and beautiful about what Ben said there. The idea that he got to experience the outpouring of love that people usually only receive at their funeral, but while he was still alive to hear it. It reminds me so much of what Ronnie experienced, this incredible wave of support from the community when they thought they might lose him. But Ben Askren's story also illustrates another crucial point about sepsis and athletes. Askren's staph infection, likely contracted through minor skin abrasions common in wrestling or MMA training, escalated into pneumonia and sepsis. Staph infections are a known risk in contact sports, and when untreated or resistant, they can lead to bloodstream infections and sepsis. This isn't an isolated incident either. Let me tell you about some other cases that might shock you. Ryan Eisner, a junior at Drew University and starting guard on the basketball team, suffered from sepsis in October 2007. Initially diagnosed with pneumonia, Eisner's condition deteriorated due to his immune system's dysregulated response, leading to sepsis and septic shock. Here was a young, healthy athlete at the peak of physical fitness, and sepsis nearly killed him. Then there's the case of Nick Mullins, a professional skateboarder who contracted a Staphylococcus aureus infection in 2009, which progressed to septic shock. The infection likely stemmed from a bad scrape on his hip sustained during a skateboarding accident. Initially misdiagnosed, the infection spread, leading to severe complications, including acute kidney injury, lung damage, and permanent blindness. Think about that progression. A simple scrape during skateboarding, something that happens to athletes all the time, turned into a life-altering medical emergency that cost this young man his sight. This is the insidious nature of these infections, and it's exactly exactly why Ronnie Coleman's advocacy work is so incredibly important. Athletes are particularly at risk for several reasons. High-contact sports like wrestling and football increase the risk of skin infections, which can lead to bloodstream infections and sepsis, if untreated. Wrestlers, for example, have the highest rates of skin infections among high school athletes, with over 60% being bacterial. But it's not just the contact sports. Intense exercise can temporarily suppress the immune system, increasing susceptibility to infections, particularly respiratory tract infections, during periods of heavy training. So ironically, the very thing that makes these athletes so strong and powerful, their intense training regimens, can also make them more vulnerable to these kinds of infections. Shared environments like locker rooms, shared equipment, and close contact during sports facilitate the spread of pathogens like Staphylococcus aureus or fungal infections, which can escalate to sepsis. And here's something that might surprise you. Minor cuts or abrasions, common in sports, can become entry points for bacteria, if not properly cleaned and covered. We're talking about tiny breaks in the skin, cuts so small you might not even notice them, becoming gateways for potentially deadly infections. It's a sobering reminder that even the strongest, most well-conditioned athletes in the world are still human, still vulnerable, still mortal. This brings us back to why Ronnie Coleman's story is so important, and why his decision to go public with his battle is genuinely heroic. Coleman has expressed a personal responsibility to educate others about sepsis, motivated by his near-death experience. He aims to turn this challenging chapter into a beacon of hope and information for millions worldwide. The Ronnie Strong campaign continues to gain traction, with over 100 top fitness influencers united to promote awareness. The campaign includes a website selling limited edition Ronnie Strong t-shirts for $35, with 50% of net proceeds donated to the Sepsis Alliance. But more than just merchandise, this is about saving lives through education. Prevention strategies for athletes include frequent hand washing, using alcohol-based sanitizers, avoiding shared towels or equipment, prompt cleaning and covering of cuts or abrasions, recommended vaccines, and avoiding overtraining to maintain immune function. These might seem like simple, common-sense precautions, but when you understand how serious the consequences can be, when you see what happened to athletes like Ronnie Coleman and Ben Askren, these basic preventive measures take on life-and-death importance. The untold truth about Ronnie's steroid journey. Now, there's an aspect of his life that's often whispered about, but rarely discussed with the honesty and transparency that it deserves. And that's his relationship with performance-enhancing drugs, specifically steroids. I know this is a sensitive topic, but Ronnie himself has been remarkably open about it. And I think his honesty and approach to this subject is actually one of the most important lessons we can learn from his entire career. Let me take you back to some of his most candid interviews, where Ronnie pulled back the curtain on a part of professional bodybuilding that many prefer to keep in the shadows. In his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, Ronnie shared something that I think fundamentally changes how we should view his incredible achievements.
Yeah. I didn't start taking anything till I was 30.
Really?
Yeah. Remember, I was drug-free for a long time. And I did everything naturally for a long, long time because I was, like I said, gifted.
Think about that for a moment. Ronnie Coleman, the man who would go on to become arguably the greatest bodybuilder of all time, competed naturally for 6 years. 6 years! He began bodybuilding at 24 and competed naturally for the first 6 years, achieving a pro card without PEDs. He only started using steroids at 30 because he was tired of getting my ass kicked at competitions.
What inspired you? What made you decide when you were 30 that you had to do something?
Got tired of getting my ass kicked.
In competitions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The highest I would place was like third or something, you know. And after a while, you know, you competitive. The other guys got a competitive advantage on you. So let's make this thing equal.
This is where Ronnie's story becomes so much more relatable and human. Here's a guy who was genetically gifted, incredibly dedicated, training harder than almost anyone else, but still getting beaten because he was competing against people who had what he called a competitive advantage. He wasn't looking to cheat or take shortcuts. He was looking to level the playing field. And here's where the story gets really interesting. On Club Shay Shay, Ronnie revealed exactly how this transformation happened, and it involves one of the most respected names in bodybuilding history.
Well, I went to Flex room. It was real kind of late at night, and I'm like, Flex, man, I'm tired of getting my butt whooped at all these shows, and I hear you guys, you know, taking the juice. You know, I had to say something. And he's like, yeah, man, if you want to get up there with the big dogs, you got to do what the big dogs do.
Coleman credited fellow bodybuilder Flex Wheeler for introducing him to steroids and connecting him with a top nutritionist, which helped him win his first Mr. Olympia title in 1998. But what's remarkable about Ronnie's approach is how methodical and responsible he was about it.
My first time ever having anything to do with drugs was 1995.
1995.
And that's when I won my first pro show.
This is where Ronnie's story becomes truly unique in the world of professional sports. When the DEA investigated bodybuilders due to concerns about steroid misuse, particularly among teens linked to depression and suicide, Coleman showed prescriptions to officials and underwent regular blood tests to monitor his health, which showed no long-term adverse effects during his career.
I mean, basic. You know, you got, your tests, D-ball. It's just basic stuff. And back then, because the DA had come in and was trying to find out what we were all doing, they made us do it legally. So, you had to go to the doctor and get all these prescriptions.
Coleman stressed that his steroid use was legal and doctor prescribed. He recounted showing prescriptions to Drug Enforcement Administration officials who investigated bodybuilders. He underwent regular blood tests to monitor his health. But here's what I find most fascinating about Ronnie's approach to this topic: his complete transparency and his emphasis on the importance of genetics and work ethic over any substance. Coleman noted that steroids did not significantly increase his strength or size, as he was already lifting 750 and 800 pounds naturally. However, they drastically improved his conditioning, allowing him to achieve the low body fat needed for Mr. Olympia competitions.
I wasn't taking tons of stuff. I probably wasn't taking no more than what those baseball players were taking.
Just working out more, lifting
lifting more.
This level of medical supervision and monitoring is something that sets Ronnie apart from many stories we hear about steroid abuse in sports. Coleman emphasized that his use was legal, prescription-based, and monitored by doctors with regular health checkups every 3 to 4 months to ensure his kidneys, liver, and heart remained healthy. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Ronnie's physiology was how his body responded when he stopped taking everything.
Now, when you would get off for that 3-month period, would you cycle off of everything?
No, cold turkey.
Cold turkey?
Yeah.
Really?
Cold turkey. I didn't take anything or nothing.
And what did you feel like over those 3 months?
Normal.
Really?
Normal. Didn't bother me a bit.
Unlike many bodybuilders, Coleman said he could stop steroids cold turkey without cycling off or experiencing significant side effects, attributing this to his exceptional genetics. He maintained his massive size even during off-seasons without PEDs. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not advocating for steroid use, and neither is Ronnie. What I am advocating for is the kind of honesty and transparency that Ronnie has shown throughout his career. Coleman was open about his use, stating, "I had no reason to hide it. People aren't stupid." He contrasted this with other bodybuilders who downplayed PEDs, claiming supplements like creatine were responsible for their physiques.
Was that something that you were allowed to talk about while you were competing?
Yeah, I mean...
Did it come up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talked about it. I didn't have no reason to hide it.
But Ronnie Coleman's story extends far beyond bodybuilding, and even beyond his honest discussions about performance enhancement. This man has lived multiple lives, each one remarkable in its own right. Coleman served as a police officer in Arlington, Texas, from 1989 to 2003, balancing this role with his bodybuilding career during his peak years. Think about that for a moment. While he was winning Mr. Olympia titles and becoming the most dominant bodybuilder in history, he was also working full-time as a police officer. Initially, Coleman pursued accounting after graduating cum laude from Grambling State University, but took the police job after failing to secure an accounting position. He worked as a patrol officer and was known for his imposing physique.
I've worked full-time police department. I'm working out every day. I'm doing cardio. That's another thing Chad did. He increased my cardio from 1 hour a day to 2 hours a day. And I'm like, oh man, you really doing a number on me here.
Can you imagine the dedication required to maintain that schedule? Working full-time as a police officer, training intensely every single day, doing 2 hours of cardio daily, and still managing to eat 6 meals a day, including waking up in the middle of the night to eat. Coleman's police career provided financial stability, allowing him to train and compete without relying solely on bodybuilding income. However, in 2003, a new police chief enforced stricter rules, forcing Coleman to choose between his job and bodybuilding. The level of commitment this man showed is absolutely staggering, but what makes it even more remarkable is how he's transformed his success into something that goes far beyond personal achievement. Coleman's entrepreneurial endeavors center on the fitness industry, most notably through the Ronnie Coleman Signature Series, a sports nutrition and supplement company launched in 2011. The brand offers high-quality products designed to support athletes' performance and reflects Coleman's expertise and authenticity in bodybuilding. bodybuilding. The company has gained a strong following, contributing significantly to his estimated net worth, which ranges from $2 million to $10 million as of 2023 to 2024. But it's not just about business success. Coleman is deeply committed to philanthropy, focusing on giving back to the community. He established the Ronnie Coleman Signature Series Invitational, a bodybuilding competition that donates proceeds to charitable causes. Like this video? Click on the card showing on your screen for more.